अब हम देखते हैं क्वेश्चन नंबर 5 क्या आया था कि विच वन ऑफ द फॉलोइंग पर्सन वॉज नेवर एसोसिएटेड विद द इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस। ठीक है, ऑप्शन में था फिरोज शाह मेहता, हाकिम अजमल खान, खान अब्दुल गफ्फार खान, सर सैयद अहमद खान। तो एक बार देखते हैं इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस के बारे में, सॉल्व आपको खुद ही करना है। The Indian National Congress (INC) is one of the two major political parties in India, the other being the Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP). The INC played a dominant role in the Indian independence movement against British rule, employing non-violent civil disobedience. Here's an overview of the Indian National Congress in the context of Indian history. Formation. The INC was founded in 1885. It was established with the help of the A.O. Hume, a retired British official and ornithologist. Womesh Chunder Banerjee, W.C. Banerjee, was elected as the party's first president. Early phase 1885 to 1905. In its initial year, the INC was moderate in its approach and aimed at constitutional reform that would offer a larger role to Indians in governance and civil rights. It was not demanding complete independence. Leaders of this phase: W.C. Banerjee, Dadabhai Naoroji, Dinshaw Wacha, Manmohan Ghosh, Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Split between moderate and extremist 1905-1916. By the early 20th century, a rift developed within INC between moderates and the extremists. While the moderate favored dialogue and reforms, the extremists pushed for direct action and Swaraj self-rule. The Surat session of 1907 marked the official split between the two. Leaders of extremist phase: Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, and Lala Lajpat Rai, often referred to as Lal Bal Pal trial. Lucknow Pact 1916. The two factions united in the Lucknow session of 1916 recognized the need for a united front. This was also a period when INC and the Muslim League, another major political entity, came closer to their demands for political reforms from British. Non-cooperative movement 1920 to 22. Led by Mahatma Gandhi, this was a mass protest against British rule, employing non-violent resistance and non-cooperative with the British authorities. Civil disobedience movement 1930-1934. Again led by Gandhi, this involved the refusal to obey certain laws, demands and commands of the British. The iconic Salt March is a significant event from this movement. उसके बाद है क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट 1942, a mass protest demanding an era to the British rule. The Quit India movement had the slogan "Do or Die." Post independence after 1947. After achieving independence in 1947, the INC transformed from a movement fighting British colonialism to a political party. Jawaharlal Nehru, the first president of India, was a key leader of the INC, and the Nehru-Gandhi family has since been a dominant political force within the party. Contemporary era. The INC has been in power for a majority of the period post-independence. Prominent leaders from recent times include Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, P. Narasimha Rao, Manmohan Singh and Sonia Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi, a member of the Nehru-Gandhi family, has been an influential figure in the INC in the 21st century. The Indian National Congress (INC) has a rich history that spans over a century, and throughout its existence, many notable figures have been associated with the party. Here are some of the prominent personalities linked with the INC, categorized based on different phases of the party and Indian history. Early leaders, late 19th century to early 20th century. A.O. Hume, the British civil servant and ornithologist who played a pivotal role in the formation of the INC. W.C. Banerjee, the first president of the INC. Dadabhai Naoroji, often referred to as the Grand Old Man of India. He was a key leader and also served as the president of the INC. Gopal Krishna Gokhale, a prominent moderate leader. Extremist, early 20th century. Bal Gangadhar Tilak, known for his slogan "Swaraj is my birthright," and I shall have it. Bipin Chandra Pal, Lala Lajpat Rai. Leaders during the Gandhi era 1915 to 1947. Mohandas Karamchandra Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, his leadership style and philosophy of non-violent resistance became the defining strategy of the INC during the struggle for independence. Jawaharlal Nehru, a prominent leader during the freedom movement and India's first Prime Minister. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, key leader and India's first Deputy Prime Minister. Rajendra Prasad became the first President of India. C. Rajagopalachari, last Governor General of India and a key figure in the INC. Post-independence leaders. Indira Gandhi, daughter of Jawaharlal Nehru, she became one of India's longest serving Prime Minister. Rajiv Gandhi, son of Indira Gandhi, he served as the Prime Minister of India in the 1980s. P.V. Narasimha Rao, who played a crucial role during India's economic liberalization in the 1990s. Sonia Gandhi took over the party leadership in the late 1990s and is a part of the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty. Manmohan Singh, economist and politician, served as the Prime Minister of India from 2004 to 2014. Rahul Gandhi has been an influential figure in the INC in the 21st century. Apart from these figures, numerous other leaders, activists and supporters have been associated with the INC throughout its history. These personalities have played varying roles from spread-heading movements to farming to framing policies. They have shaped the trajectory of modern India. क्वेश्चन नंबर 6 देखते क्या पूछा गया था. डायरेची इन प्रोविंसेस वाज इंट्रोड्यूस अंडर विच एक्ट और ईयर. ठीक है, 1892, 1909, 1990 और 1935. द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ डायरेची और डायरेची इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ इंडियन हिस्ट्री रेफर्स टू अ ड्यूअल सिस्टम ऑफ गवर्नेंस introduced in the provinces of British India by the Government of India Act 1919. याद रखना है, Government of India Act 1919, also known as the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms. The system was attempt to further decentralize administration by introducing a dual governance structure at the provincial level. Here's how the Dairechi system works. Division of subject. Subject in the provincial domain were divided into two lists: transferred and reserved. Transferred subject. These subjects were handed over to the Indian ministers. The subject included areas such as agriculture, local self-government, health, public works and education. These ministers were responsible to the Legislative Council and the majority of the council members were elected by the people. Reserved subject. These subjects remain under the control of governor and the executive council. They are the areas included police, revenue, finance and irrigation. ध्यान से इसको देख लेना क्या क्या है. Police, revenue, finance and irrigation. The governor executive council was predominantly composed of British officials and the governor was not obligated to act on their advice concerning reserved subjects. Hence, the British effectively retained control over significant areas of governance. There are issues with Dairechi. The system of Dairechi often led to conflict and difficulties in administration due to the duality of command. While the goal was to provide Indians with more control over their governance, the division of power often made administration inefficient and confusing. Indians viewed it as a half measure that fell short of providing real self-governance or autonomy. The experiment with Dairechi lasted until 1935, when the Government of India Act of 1935 abolished it. The new act introduced provincial autonomy, extending the power of Indian ministers and moving closer to self-governance within the provinces. In retrospect, Dairechi was an intermediary step in the gradual process of transferring more governance power to Indians during the British colonial rule, but it also highlighted the challenges of such dual governance system. एक और देखते हैं। क्वेश्चन नंबर 7 देखना, मैच लिस्ट फर्स्ट विद लिस्ट सेकंड एंड चूज द करेक्ट आंसर फ्रॉम द कोड्स गिवन बिलो। पहले में आपका रेगुलेटिंग एक्ट 1773 है, इंडियन काउंसिल एक्ट 1909, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1919 और फोर्थ में गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1935। लिस्ट बी में क्या दिया हुआ है, प्रोविजन फॉर स्टेट ऑटोनॉमी, इनिशिएशन ऑफ डायरेक्टरी रूल, बिगिनिंग ऑफ कम्युनल इलेक्टोरल कॉलेज, एस्टैब्लिशमेंट ऑफ सुप्रीम कोर्ट। तो देखते हैं, द रेगुलेटिंग एक्ट रेफर्स टू सेवरल पीसेज ऑफ लेजिस्लेशन पास्ड बाय द ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट इन द 18th and 19th century to regulate the activities of the British East India Company in India. These acts marked the beginning of British political control over India. The most prominent among these were, firstly, Regulating Act 1773, the first significant attempt by the British Parliament to regulate the affairs of the company. It designated Calcutta, now Kolkata, as the capital of British India and established the Supreme Court at Calcutta in 1774. The act curtailed the powers of the presidencies of Bombay and Madras, making them subordinate to the presidency of Bengal. It also mandated that the company's territory in India were to be held in trust for the British Crown. Warren Hastings was appointed to the first Governor General of Bengal. याद रखना, Warren Hastings was appointed the first Governor General of Bengal and his council was established. उसके बाद एक और है पिट्स इंडिया एक्ट ऑफ 1784, named after the then Prime Minister William Pitt the Younger. This act established a dual system of governance. The commercial activities of the company were controlled by the Court of Directors, while political and territorial affairs were regulated by a newly established Board of Control. This marked the beginning of a greater government intervention in India's governance, reducing the company's autonomous powers. Regulating Act of 1793 extended the tenure of the Governor General and the Council. The Governor General was given more powers, including over war and peace with Indian states. The Chartered Act. After the initial regulating acts, the Charter Act passed every 20 years further defined the company's role in India. Each act renewed the company's charter, made modification to governance and gradually increased the British government control over India. Significance देख लेते हैं. The regulating acts were essential in the transitions from a commercial enterprise, the British East India Company, ruling India, to direct control of India by the British Crown. Over time, through these acts and subsequent legislation, the British government increased its intervention in India, leading to the eventual establishment of the British Raj in 1858 after the revolt of 1857. The British East India Company rule ended and Queen Victoria became the Empress of India. एक और देखते हैं. The Indian Council Act of 1909, often referred to as the Morley-Minto reforms, named after John Morley, the then Secretary of State of India, the Gilbert Elliot and the Viceroy of Lord Minto, was a legislative measure introduced by the British colonial administration to address certain political demands and pressure arising in India. The act made significant amendments to the structure and functioning of the Legislative Council in India. Key features of the Indian Council Acts 1909. Expansion of legislative councils. The size of the various legislative council was enlarged. For instance, the Imperial Legislative Council, the central legislative body, was expanded to include 60 members, of whom 27 were to be Indians. Introduction of separate electorates. This was a particularly divisive measure. Muslims were provided with separate electorates, meaning they have reserved seats in the council and could only be elected by Muslim voters. This measure showed the seeds of communal politics in India, which would have far-reaching consequences in the year to come. Officials and non-officials member. In provincial legislative councils, non-officials members, that is members not part of the government, were to be in majority. However, officials members continue to retain a majority in the Imperial Legislative Council. Discussion on budget. The Reformed Council had the power to discuss the budget and and propose resolutions before it was finalized, but they could not vote on it. Introduction of resolution in councils. For the first time, non-official members of the councils were allowed to move resolution on various matters and discuss them. They gave Indian members an opportunity to voice their opinions and concerns. Associations of Indians in executive functions. Some Indians were appointed in the executive councils of the viceroy and governors. For instance, Satyendra Prasanna Sinha became the first Indian to be appointed to the Viceroy Council in 1909. SP Sinha. ठीक है. Restrictions on press and association. While the act expanded the scope of the legislative councils, it also imposed certain restrictions on the press and the right to assemble. This was done to control the rise of radical nationalist activities. Significance. While the 1909 Act increased the participation of Indians in governance, it was largely seen as a way for the British to control the rising nationalist sentiments in India by making minor concessions. The introduction of separate electorates based on religion would lay the foundation for the future communal tensions and eventual demand for a separate nation, leading to the partition of India in 1947. Despite its shortcomings, the Molle Minto reforms marked a step in the gradual evolution of the Indian legislative process and governance system during the British Raj. Next is the Government of India Act 1919, commonly referred to as a Montagu-Chelmsford reforms, named after Edwin Montagu, the then Secretary of State for India, and Lord Chelmsford, the then Viceroy, was a significant piece of legislation that sought to expand the participation of Indians in governance and introduce significant changes to the administration and political structure of British India. Key features of the Government of India Act 1919. Introduction of diarchy in provinces. The Act introduced a dual system of governance known as diarchy in the provincial legislature. Subject of administration were divided into transferred and reserved categories. ये भी हमने पहले भी डिस्कस किया था, ठीक है. Transferred subject like education, agriculture, local government were to be administered by the Indian ministers responsible to the legislative council, while reserved subjects like police, revenue, finance remained under the control of the governor and its nominated officials. Bicameral legislature at the center. The Act created a bicameral central legislature consisting of the Council of State, Upper House, and the Legislative Assembly, Lower House. Both houses had elected and nominated members. Extension of franchise. The Act expanded the right to vote, though it still remained limited. Only small percentage of the population based on poverty, ownership, education and other qualification were eligible to vote. Central Executive Authority. The Act provided for the establishment of an executive council, but unlike the provincial council, there was no diarchy at the center level. Communal representation. The Act institutionalized communal representation by extending the separate electorate system introduced in 1909 to Sikh, Christians, Anglo-Indians and Europeans. Provincial autonomy. The provinces were given more autonomy in terms of governance, albeit with the framework of diarchy. Commission after 10 years. The Act proposed that a commission would be established after 10 years to study the progress and issue arising from the new reforms. This led to the Simon Commission in 1927. फिर impact and criticism. Incomplete self-governance. The Act was criticized for not providing genuine self-rule. The diarchy system, while giving Indians more responsibility in governance, was complex and often led to conflicts. Limited franchise. The limited extension of the franchise meant that a vast majority of Indians still could not vote or participate in the electoral process. Communal politics. By further institutionalizing communal representation, the Act showed seeds of communalism and division in the Indian politics. Control of the British. Crucial power and significant administrative areas remained under British control. Despite its limitation and criticism, the Government of India Act 1919 was an important step in the constitutional evolution of India under British rule. The Act laid the groundwork for the future reforms and was a response to the increasingly vocal demands for greater Indian participation in governance. Next, the Government of India Act 1935. The Government of India Act 1935 was a milestone in the constitutional development of India under British rule. It was most comprehensive and lengthy piece of legislation enacted by the British Parliament concerning India. The Act provided the framework for the political and administrative structure of India until the Indian Independence Act 1947, and with modification served as the basis for the Constitution of India after independence. Key features of the Government of India Act 1935. Provincial autonomy, All India Federation, bicameral legislature, extended franchise, residuary powers, establishment of federal court, protection of minority rights, emergency provision. पढ़ के देखते हैं. Provincial autonomy. The Act ended the system of diarchy introduced by the 1919 Act and granted full autonomy to the provinces. Subjects were divided into provincial and federal list, and the provinces were given full control over the subjects in the provincial list. All India Federation. The Act proposed the establishment of All India Federation consisting of British Indian provinces and princely states. However, this federation was never realized, mainly because the princely states were not keen to join. Bicameral legislature. The Act introduced bicameral legislature in 6 out of 11 provinces. These were Council of State, Upper House, and the Legislative Assembly, Lower House. Extended franchise. The Act significantly expanded the franchise, allowing more Indians to participate in the electoral process. About 10% of the total population was given the right to vote. Residuary powers. The Act vested the residuary powers, those not defined in any list, in the Governor General, unlike the present Constitution of India, which vest them in the Parliament. Establishment of federal court. A federal court was established in 1937 at Delhi to interpret the Act and adjudicate disputes between the centre and provinces. It was precursor to the Supreme Court of India. Protection of minority right. The Act continued the policy of providing separate electorates for minorities, which deepened the communal divide. Emergency provisions. The Act gave sweeping powers to the Governor General and governors to override the elected representatives in times of emergencies. अब इसके थोड़े criticisms and impact भी देख लेते हैं. Central dominions. Despite granting autonomy to the provinces, the Act retained significant power at the centre. The Governor General and governors had wide-ranging discretionary powers to bypass the elected representatives. Communalism. The continuance of separate electorates and reserved seats for minorities further entrenched communalism in Indian politics. Complexity. The Act was very detailed and complicated, making its complete implementation challenging. Conservatism. Many Indian leaders felt the Act was too conservative and did not go for enough in granting India self-rule. While the Act, the most advanced legal framework provided by the British to India, it fell short of aspirations of many Indian leaders and the public who wanted complete self-rule, Purna Swaraj. Nonetheless, the Act laid the foundation for the administrative structure of an independent India and heavily influenced the framing of the Indian Constitution. ठीक है, आगे नेक्स्ट क्लास में देखते हैं.